getting to these sort of top 8. Like anyone, not anyone, but a lot of players, they can have a sort of that one big upset. As I say, a broken clock can be right twice a day.
Oh yes.
But when you're like, oh, this clock's actually telling the time pretty good. This might even beat my old Casio watch, sort of thing. You know, it's like it makes a little jingle or something when each hour. You know, it's doing well. And I feel like ToeJam, he's proven that this ain't no fluke. This ain't no fluke, but. I think Peli, as we've been saying, has kind of been, his whole tournament run has been dealing with were you a fluke? And Peli's answer was yes, in some sense, from his winner's side run.
Yep, they've taken many, many bodies. They've dismantled many underdogs. ToeJam is another one in a very long line. And so, frankly, as much as I love the geezer, despite the fact that they may fight under a different flag nowadays, I think I'm ready to see Peli upset. I think I'm ready to see them taken down a peg or two by an underdog as TJ Simpson takes to the stage. It's going to be very, very harder said than done, dear Michael.
Yeah, look, I think these two characters are ones that can thrive on attritional warfare, and I think Peli is so experienced and seasoned at this level, and that is the question mark over ToeJam. It's like there's no doubt his skill as a player, but it's about being able to replicate that over the course of the game, over the course of the stock, a set. And look, so far Peli be showing that experience and chasing him down in the sky. And a lead here in this sort of matchup at this stage of the game. That's not what you want to be as ToeJam, just sort of creating the sort of little Picasso art piece on the right platform while Peli's just like dashing back and forth. Like, I'm chilling here, man. I'm good.
Exactly. Frankly, I think this set has started pretty quickly, which is quite interesting. I think we are due for a little bit more tempered behavior. I can see, honestly, ToeJam trying to sort of lock off various different routes of attack just to try and feel out what Peli enjoys going for. As you can see, we do have a little bit of space to play with. SBF, not the smallest stage in the world. We definitely do have a little bit of angles to play with, very similar to PS2 in that regard, which a lot of people forget. However, as I've seen many times today, stage selection is just one tool of many, and sometimes you're just better.
Sometimes you are just better. And it looks like Peli is showing that so far. And I think ToeJam's trying to work out how to get a foothold in this game at all. It feels like ToeJam is sort of in the corner, setting up the grenades and sort of like working out, okay, how am I going to be able to get in? And Peli's timed some homing attacks, timed some like little stray aerials, span when he needed to. And he's just not, I think ToeJam just needs to not give Peli any freebies. I think that is the life sometimes fighting Sonic. It's like, it's going to be attritional warfare. You can't give them the small margins. But ToeJam is getting a few more of them now, 121%. But Peli is so good at evading death, but not that time.
Nicely done. We're chilling out very nicely because this is a weird scenario where, like, the Sonic game plan against Snake doesn't quite work the same way against everyone else because Snake is so willing to take damage, so willing to survive until late percentages. Building up this war of attrition, building up these small little interactions doesn't really affect their game plan very much because they're so heavy that you have to take a committal option to kill them. You can't just chip away until they're forced into a scenario where they have to survive because they will just keep coming. They will stand. They're the immovable object.
Yeah, Peli chasing high again. And look, it's looking difficult. I feel like this game might be a bit of dated. That's what I'm feeling so far. I mean, of course, there's a long way to go. Stocks are even, percent. It's a big gap, but it can be shortened pretty quickly, but it does feel like this is maybe a bit more data from ToeJam.
Yeah,
as we said, this is a rematch, of course, as well.
Of course.
Yeah.
There is so much going on here, so much knowledge, and frankly, I think ToeJam's got another 30% in him. There's just going to be very hard to find these kills on Peli. And honestly, I think this is a lot. Ooh, we are going to find an edge. Can we find it? No. A greedy recovery by Peli, but ToeJam just not quick enough on the trigger. So that shot comes through. There's another Nikita coming out. Not quite enough. What are we going to find? The jab to bait, but it's called out so cleanly by Peli. And finding fast kills is not quite Snake's method of approach.
Yeah, not quite, especially when Peli's defensive game is so good. But I have to say, I'm really, really impressed so far with the way that Peli's kind of threaded the needle when it comes to kind of getting through ToeJam's wall of pain. Like that sort of aggressive back air from ledge. In principle, you might not think that's like a great option on paper, but like Peli sort of waited for the right opportunity to do it, and it worked out. I feel like there's situations where ToeJam's kind of autopiloting very slightly in terms of when he's setting up and some of his defensive plan, and Peli's sort of recognizing exactly when to strike. And Peli's not going to get frustrated. Look, you can fight Snake. It's like, I can't get in. Please let me in. But Peli's not going to mind.
That's what I find so interesting about this tournament. It's so rich in history, and frankly, as much as a massive shout out to any international viewers out there, there's a lot of very interesting history, a lot of interesting culture in these kinds of matchups. And one thing that frankly I think is making this matchup so annoying is that there was this really weird kind of, for lack of a better term, freaky couple of weeks where Peli just mained Snake and was like,
this
is my new thing. I'm learning everything about this character. And unfortunately, that was before Snake really kind of took off as this new mid-level dominating beast. And so it means that Peli has this incredible information just to try and take down these, not saying that ToeJam is one, wannabes who are trying to break in to these upper echelons with Snake. ToeJam obviously proving that they're above that, but it's just not quite enough for game one, Michael.
Look, ToeJam, maybe he wants to be that set. He want to be winning, but I'll tell you what he wants, what he really, really wants.
Tell me what he wants, what he really, really wants.
He wants to not die as early as he did in
Well,
that game. Yeah.
buddy, I've not got advice for him.
Look,
Nothing
man, look. I think that was a strong start from Peli. I think it's always interesting seeing the rematches from the winner side to loser side, because it's like, okay, has the losing player sort of had time to think about it, sort of come with a different kind of game plan? Has the winning player sort of got them on lock? Is the download complete, so to speak? And it feels like we're not quite at either extreme so far. I feel like I've not quite seen enough from ToeJam yet to sort of indicate they're getting a new foothold in the matchup that they didn't have winner side. But it also feels like Peli's got there are gaps in the armor that I think ToeJam can get at.
Well, we've gone for a stage switch, which I'm really excited to see ToeJam's adaptability, I should say. Frankly, I think they are an incredibly talented player, and I think they've earned their position here. I would like to
100%.
see them establish it. I'd like to see them plant their flag. And I think that's much easier to do when you don't have multiple different platforms in which Peli can find an angle of attack that you want to be prepared for. I think Snake is frankly a character, if they do have a weakness, which of course they do have a couple, one of which is sort of beating back approaches from that kind of like diagonal approach range. They can do it vertically, they can do it horizontally, but finding a way to defend yourself is very hard from that angle. So removing those platforms makes it a lot more binary in the way that Peli is going to find these approaches. And so I think ToeJam might be using that to his advantage there, Michael. Yeah,
it's starting off a little bit better here from ToeJam. It did feel like there was a nice comfort on the platforms. You know, I think Snake always likes sort of positioning the grenades and the C4s on the sort of small battlefield and the PS2 platforms, but FD is a different beast. This stage considered pretty good for both characters in a vacuum, but it's sort of about when you have two characters that are, oh, I like this stage. Only one of them's gonna like it when we hit game.
When we hit game. Until you lock in FD.
Yeah. But so far, pretty even Stevens. It feels like both players. Again, it does feel like ToeJam's trying to find something a little bit new. It feels like a lot of the grenade position's been pretty good. Maybe trying to sort of force an arrow from Peli, but Peli is not biting. You know, staying in the corner when he needs to. As I say, I've been really impressed the way he's been threading the needle and finding those kills in difficult positions. And he's done it again.
I feel like I need more consistent kill options out of ToeJam, or more, I should say, consistent kill routes. Because what I'm watching right now is ToeJam baiting Peli in and trying to find an up tilt, and that feels like the main game plan. There it is, you can see it right there. The back arrows are coming through, and again, the up tilt does finally work, but it's so inconsistent. You could have had a kill much earlier if you were looking for a couple of different routes. Not that I'm here to criticize ToeJam really fighting for his life against one of, frankly, the most legendary players in the UK scene, and they're doing an incredible job holding incredible space. The king holding the court, but my goodness, what's a king to a god there, Michael, as we are back to a little bit of neutral, trying to earn a little bit of credit on the Sonic.
Yeah, Peli here. Small lead that's building, but I gotta say, it feels like that ToeJam's playstyle, I really like some of the setups he's doing and some of the things he's going for, but it feels like he's not so much forcing the issue, but just hoping, it's almost hoping like Peli makes a mistake. And Peli, as I said, because he's so experienced, because he's so good with Sonic kind of playing, you know, giving, as I keep saying, no freebies, it feels like ToeJam's waiting for a mistake that isn't coming. And all that time, Peli is able to keep building the percent. And I think, look, you're talking about the up tilt. The only way that ToeJam got that kill on the previous stock was just kind of pressing up tilt and up tilt and up tilt. And that's fine, man. Like, that is the part of the game plan sometimes. You have to kind of scrap. But it does feel like it is still a bit of an uphill battle for ToeJam. But the explosiveness of Snake still means there is a chance here, especially with that max rage. But Peli has the percent lead. He's happy to kind of keep spinning around, play a bit more defensive. And again, we've seen the spins into the forward air, we've seen the spins to the up air. It is rinse and repeat. And see, Peli spawns down, and ToeJam's like, I'm stuck down, I'm going to have to keep throwing grenades. I need something a little bit more from ToeJam. I think some of the things he's been doing are really good, but I think it's not so much about refining it. I need new things. I need new ways of trying to get in. But it's much, much easier said than done.
Certainly is. Certainly is. We're forced off to the side.
Oh,
This is
no.
not looking good at all. This could be the end of this game. You can see an air dodge back to stage, but it's just not enough in Nikita. This is such a vulnerable position. Can Peli capitalize?
Oh.
Great timing to escape, but the down tilt's a little bit overconfident. Smacked back by the string. We've got to slow it down as we do take center stage. The grenades are coming out again. An aggressive down air. A wonderful hitbox to use.
Okay.
Nikita into the dome.
All right, here we go. And I think, look, what Peli's been so good at is getting those consistent kill. Wait,
Okay, buddy. I respect it.
those kill confirms, but 100%, as you say, Snake's a big boy. He's got maybe a few more hits left in him. So this is still relatively... I was going to say neck and neck. He just blew his neck off. he brought the boom. He brought the boom to himself.
Well and truly. I do love the smile at ToeJam. I do love the...
Oh, man.
Shucks.
I really did that to myself.
Happens.
Look, it's difficult. That is the life of Snake. You
live by the sword, you die by the sword.
You're playing with dangerous explosives. Sometimes they are going to blow up in your face.
Exactly. There's a lesson for you kids at home. There's a lesson for Astro.
Please, Astro, if you're listening to this, please don't play with fireworks.
There you go.
Leave that to seasoned professionals like ToeJam.
Exactly. As we're running it back, ToeJam more than confident in the stage selection right now. A little bit of damage, tastefully under 30, a bit like us, Michael, but we're going to carry on, returning back to neutral. Making it back to the stage. No air dodge back, but does have to escape his own grenade with a dash attack. Making it back, forcing him back to the side. We're holding court in this uncomfortable kind of roll distance between Sonic, where they can't quite charge up a spin dash, but instead they can't quite pick an option, which I do like, but it means you're forced to pick an option very quickly. And frankly, I think ToeJam doesn't quite have the frame data to be able to box in that scenario. So it's this weird kind of mixture where neither of these characters can make an engagement option in that space, and so both of them are just kind of mashing to get out and seeing who wins.
Yeah, and I've got to say, that was looking like a pretty good start there from ToeJam, but at the same time, it is Peli once again who draws first blood. And I thought, look, ToeJam was getting some really good percent early on in that first stock, but again, I think Peli, if you were to sum up this set, and actually a little bit of the previous set, every set I've seen from Peli, he's showing his experience. And I think that can sometimes be a little bit sort of vague and wishy-washy, but I think it boils down to not giving any sort of kind of putting yourself in any position you don't need to, and sort of always being ruthless and efficient in terms of getting the kind of kills.
Well, I think that's what's so fascinating about this tournament overall, is it's not like a tournament where you have, honestly, because of how prevalent the UK has become on the map, it's very rare, and especially how interconnected Europe has become in general over the last few years, it's difficult to find a tournament where you have a lot of international threats, a lot of people who have played, a lot of character choices that don't currently exist. So tournaments like this, where we have a wonderful Norwegian invasion, but not a whole lot else, it's interesting to see that there's a lot of these up-and-comers, a lot of these regional threats that are making, waves and making upsets. But when, like you said, they meet that experience, this is the true test of how you weather the storm. And honestly, the storm is just so consistent that I just don't know if it's possible to do it first try.
Yeah, the storm has been coming for games 1 and 2, and it's looking a little bit drafty for game 3. Oh no, of course, I think the extension, from the up B from ToeJam there, being very helpful for Peli. Peli, again, a ruthlessness. He's finishing, he's getting these kills. And it might be the final stock here of ToeJam's tournament. But he's fighting for his life. An aggressive nair from ledge. Another aggressive nair, but this time Peli is on call to punish it. And you see then Peli got this basically full stock lead. Lapping on percent as well. ToeJam's trying to find something. He's been trying to find answers for 3 games.
It's just not coming more than 3, my friend, including that rematch. My goodness, I just...
The up tilt works, as you say.
Old reliable.
Oh, reliable. Stick that leg straight up in the air. And look, this is the test now.
How do you get him to 60? How do you get him to 60 or 70, where once you've unstaled an up tilt, you might find a kill, or at least the breath of one that you can force into disadvantage? How do you rack up this percent? Because grenades are not going to do it. Grenades will not do it. You have to outsmart him.
Yeah.
But it's just not possible. The wisdom is just too steadfast, Michael, as Peli takes down ToeJam.
A 3-0 and a handshake. Look, the question was, what has ToeJam learned from the winner's set? And the answer was, not quite enough.